About 2 years ago, Parker Schnabel decided to take a big risk on a promise he made to himself. A $15 million one in Dominion Creek. This is in the endless wilderness of Klondike where people's fortunes can make or break in an instant with a single shovel's turn. For this particular bet, something extremely important was at risk, and the auxiliary dangers were even greater. I'm going to say that the tough ground of the Klondike was waiting for a brave young miner. Let's begin the story. The story starts at a tough place called the Money Pit, which was much bigger than their earlier tasks on the Indian River. The job was hard, the problems were big, and the costs had gone up so much more than before. Parker, with his big ideas, was moving at full speed because he wanted to win. This situation was going to cost him a lot of money. There was a high chance it might make him a real Klondike king. On the other hand, it might also cause him to think about his losses. I think that's quite a gamble. The pressure was noticeable. Parker's projects were at risk then because a big debt had come during prosperity. Going from having a full bank account to facing the worries of mining makes it clear how close success is in a hard place like the Klondike. The worry about running out of money troubles everyone involved. I don't think I could stomach such a risk. Parker Schnabel's brave decision to buy the Dominion Creek claim was like a big gamble with nature. It's exciting and risky at the same time. It's a high-stakes game. The $15 million is just a small bit of money, and as spring comes along, it becomes very high spending. It's a race against time and money, and Parker realized that time was running out. He had to finish it fast if he wanted to achieve his goal. The Dominion Creek claim was expected to be a large gold deposit, maybe giving 80,000 gold ounces or even more. That could be over $160 million in wealth. The big money was a strong magnet that made Parker want to get into the very core of the bet. But, they say, having big rewards also means facing even bigger dangers. I think he's quite courageous and we should be inspired by his risk-taking. By the third week of the season, Parker had a big turning point to deal with. The price of reducing this pay point was very high. It was like spending too much money that could break his goals. Thousands of dollars were going into the dirt, but no gold was coming out. This place was not making money for anyone. The challenges were daunting. A big step was reaching the bedrock, but melting was an even bigger challenge that they had to face. 1 foot a week for 10 weeks in all, the time was running down fast, and the money issues got worse. It got really infuriating as time passed because the amount of gold underground was not helpful when there were money problems. For Parker Schnabel, it was a big moment to succeed or fail. The Dominion Creek claim could be a source of gold, but it was also tough to manage money there. The hopes for a big empire in Klondike were in danger, while the worries about money problems kept growing. Parker's brave effort may turn out to be the next winning story in Klondike territory, but it might also end up being a warning about money lost in the rough place outside. The future of Parker's big $15 million bet in the center of Dominion Creek won't be known until later. I think he might make it. As time passed, Parker Schnabel had a risk. It was a sign that success can come by looking back on the past. As Parker Schnabel worked through the problems with the Dominion Creek claim, a question came up. Could these old tailings be the trick to changing his $15 million chance to a Klondike gold digger? The next step was to do sluicing, a key action in taking gold from the ground, but the outcomes were very far from being good. Parker needed to test a small amount that would give at least 155 milligrams of gold, but the result was much lower, only 54 milligrams. This left him disappointed. The anger was clear in Parker's voice. He thought it wasn't good. Talking about old beggy and the trouble it causes suggests there might be unwanted things involved in the method. The business is seen as very skinny, meaning it doesn't have enough money. This could really harm how much money the project makes. Parker admitted to the outcome being too thin, and then talked seriously with his group to plan a path. Tyson, at a hopeful time, wanted to be the first to take money home and pay bills. The idea of sitting on a pile of gold made people remember that Parker had a big job to make a lot of money and stop the coming money problems from the claim at Dominion Creek. To speed up the process of getting gold, Parker started a different job at Ken & Stewart's. You can feel the change of attention as the group is working hard on planning and digging to find the hidden gold. I really like his determination. The hurry was shown in Parker's order to move stones, search for the leprechaun, and get gold. That was a simple way, but also very understandable for describing how to do mining works. As Parker looked at the floor, he found more obstacles than he thought. When there is too much trash, it's easy to see and makes the timeline for sorting it out harder. It showed that there was probably 5 feet of garbage there. That makes the job more complicated. Parker knew his team needed to talk about the problem. This shows they were determined to work together and make sure the operation was fixed. It became very important for Parker to jump on the gold quickly. This is because the unexpected slowdown in his gold-washing activities was causing an alarm. The time needed for getting money had been hugely overdrawn, and the chances of running out were coming close. The failure was a big risk to Parker's fast gold scheme and made everything about the project more dangerous. The problem got harder as Parker thought about the shortages in moving around resources. The team needed to keep going because they were the key to making money and helping the business, even if it didn't bring in quick cash. Parker was quite upset and said that he really thought they would have a plant up and running before this. But it was no good. It wasn't the best, and it could have been better if they had done that sooner. He believed they had better plans before. On the rough land of Dominion Creek, where every choice matters, Parker Schnabel had a big choice to make. In a place like this, everything has to be thought out carefully. The search for gold, which was once a good shot, was now full of problems that could change the direction of his wild plans. Will Parker beat these challenges and make his $15 million bet a big success like the Klondike discoveries? Or will the hard side of the gold rush take another rich man's money away? Time will tell if Parker's brave journey to Dominion Creek Center is a success or not. Subscribe to the channel if you are enjoying it so far. Feel free to watch my earlier videos and subscribe for further revelations in this mysterious world. The elusive target of 2,000 ounces of gold, the pinnacle of success for any miner. However, the path to glory is fraught with obstacles, and Rick's journey is no exception. The latest hurdle comes in the form of a daunting setback: the reduction of Monster Red's processing speed from a robust 300 yards of dirt per hour to a mere 200. This unforeseen turn of events threatens to derail Rick's ambitious plans and jeopardize his chances of achieving the season's most substantial payday. With each passing hour, Rick is acutely aware of the potential losses in gold revenue, a daunting prospect that looms over him like a dark cloud. Undeterred by the setback, Rick rolls up his sleeves and dives headfirst into troubleshooting mode. His keen eye for problem-solving is put to the test as he grapples with the operational issues plaguing Monster Red, particularly with the malfunctioning seat conveyor. Aware of the urgent need for a solution, Rick takes decisive action, dialing back the processing speed to mitigate further damage while he awaits assistance. The gravity of the situation is not lost on Rick, who understands the critical importance of maintaining momentum in a relentless quest for gold. With an unwavering determination, he braces himself for the challenges ahead, knowing full well that the road to success is fraught with twists and turns. Despite the mounting pressure and the weight of expectations bearing down on him, Rick remains resolute in his resolve to overcome adversity and emerge triumphant in his pursuit of the ultimate gold mining prize. As Rick awaits the arrival of the technicians, anticipation and apprehension mingle in the air. Every passing moment brings with it a glimmer of hope that the impending solution will offer a reprieve, a lifeline that could potentially salvage his ambitions and propel him closer to his gold mining dreams. In the midst of uncertainty, Rick clings to the belief that perseverance, coupled with a stroke of luck, will ultimately tip the scales in his favor, leading him one step closer to the coveted 2,000-ounce milestone and the riches that lie beyond. Rick Ness reported that they had the earnings plant up and running, but he expressed doubt about its effectiveness. He mentioned that the current operation wouldn't get them anywhere near their goal, and suggested they might as well have stuck with the previous setup. He then greeted Proctor Berry and acknowledged him as the person he had been communicating with. Rick explained that he had increased the speed, but it seemed the equipment couldn't handle it. He elaborated that the problem was the risk of round rock occurring at that speed, causing the rocks to tumble back down the conveyor, as he had previously mentioned. Rick Ness conveyed the urgency of the situation, emphasizing the need to maximize efficiency for the remainder of the season. He expressed his concern about running out of time and stressed the importance of increasing the processing speed to its maximum potential. Currently operating at about 200 yards per hour, Rick aimed to elevate it to 300 yards per hour. In discussion with his team, including Barry Proctor and Scott Ezekiel, Rick proposed a solution to improve the operation's effectiveness. He suggested constructing a set of fingers, strategically positioned to prevent rocks from tumbling back down the conveyor. This innovative approach aimed to optimize the processing system, ensuring a smoother and more efficient workflow moving forward. In collaboration with his team, Rick envisioned a finger trap. a frame equipped with 8 metal fingers suspended from a horizontal beam. This device would serve as a barrier, intercepting rocks and preventing them from... Gold mining may look very careful and serious, but even the most skilled miners make mistakes from time to time. Miners have had their fair share of ups and downs, from small mistakes that are easy to miss to big ones that cost a lot of money and make team members angry. Come with us as we look into the most stupid parts of the gold rush, putting the million-dollar dredge down. The dredge owned by Tony Beets sank for the second time in 6 weeks. He was told to go down and check on the dredge, even though it was his day off. What Tony saw when he got there could have been better. That machine held a lot of money, and it was just sitting there. It wasn't a happy moment. It looked like the team knew how bad things were, but they didn't know where to begin. The issue had to be fixed, but it was extra hard because the machine had to work by the time Tony got back. They were working on the pontoons to get rid of the water and get the dredge to float again. They thought something was broken. The pontoons quickly filled with water. Knowing how bad things were getting, one of the team members just turned around and signed, saying that Tony and Kevin would not be happy with this. When they tried to fix things quickly, there was too much water in the pontoons, so they just tried to lighten the load to get rid of the weight. They were sure that the boss would not be happy with them because the company loses about $1,000 an hour when the digger is not working. In the end, that's a lot of cash. They set up 6 pumps to drain the water to fix the problem with the pump that was sinking, but they knew they were losing. They didn't even believe the pumps could do the job. Mike really helped them out by getting a strong pump that could move 3,000 liters of water per minute. After fixing the pump, they left it to do its job. They remembered that $1,000 went by every hour. They had been pumping for water for 12 hours and spent $12,000 on it. They finally pumped the water out of the pontoons. They needed to figure out why the digger sank in the first place. When Roger Redball looked at the dredge and saw that the doors were open, it was a big surprise. The team had been working on their own problems and trying to get through the cut. They realized that this wasn't a natural or technical failure, but rather an error made by a person. Because the doors were open, sand and water could get into the pontoons and cause the dredge to sink. The whole thing was their fault. When Tony and Kevin got back from the sale, they did what they were supposed to do and asked what happened. The mine boss still wanted to know why the doors were left open, even after he knew what had happened. It turned out that the night shift team was to blame. They weren't looking at the digger. Now that the pontoons were fixed, Tony didn't want to point the finger at anyone. He just wanted to turn the dredge around and use it again. Again, the groundwater and water from the holding pond made the dredge float. They were getting ready for the next step. She and her team showed that they were ready, and they asked Mike right away how to move the dredge. Kevin told them to work quickly. With a sense of confidence and anticipation, Rick declared that their creation would indeed do the trick. As the team got to work assembling the finger trap, they worked efficiently and methodically, with each member contributing their skills and expertise. Rick reminded everyone to watch their hands and stay safe as they completed the final steps of the construction process. With the finger trap now installed and operational, Rick shut down the operation momentarily to allow for a quick inspection. Scott, who had been instrumental in the construction process, gave the finger trap a thorough examination and confirmed that it looked good and was ready for testing. With a sense of excitement, the team wasted no time in resuming operations, eager to see if their solution would yield the desired results. Rick wasted no time cranking up the processing speed to 300 yards per hour, eager to put the finger trap through its paces. As the conveyor belts whirred back to life and material began flowing through the system once more, anticipation filled the air. With the finger trap in place, Rick and his crew were poised to discover if they had struck high-grade pay dirt in the Raleigh Valley, a momentous occasion that would mark a significant milestone in their mining endeavors. The conversation turned to the changing of the seasons, with a sense of concern creeping in about the sudden onset of yellowing leaves and the rapidly cooling temperatures. The abrupt transition to autumn seemed to catch everyone off guard, with the days becoming noticeably shorter in what felt like the blink of an eye. Despite the unsettling pace of change, there was a sense of camaraderie among the team, united by their shared experiences and the challenges of their work. One member of the crew remarked on the irony of their situation, jokingly suggesting that they were all in their line of work because they weren't suited for anything else. The lighthearted banter served as a moment of levity amidst the seriousness of their task. Suddenly, a metallic clink caught their attention, prompting a pause in the conversation. Upon closer inspection, they realized that the sound was not from lead, as initially assumed, but rather from gold, a discovery that elicited a mix of excitement and disbelief among the crew. The weight of the revelation hung heavy in the air, underscoring the significance of their work and the potential rewards that lay within their grasp. Reflecting on the week's progress, one member admitted to succumbing to temptation and increasing the processing speed in a bid to maximize their output. It was a moment of candor that highlighted the ever-present pressure to succeed in their demanding line of work, where even the smallest decisions could have significant consequences. Despite the capacity of their equipment, Rick acknowledged that the round rocks in the area posed a unique challenge. They had a tendency to roll back, hindering their operations' efficiency. While they weren't able to run at maximum capacity for the entire week, they still managed to put in a solid effort, sluicing for a total of 70 hours, albeit dialing back the processing speed to 200 yards per hour on some days. Eager to see the fruits of their labor, Rick and the crew decided to take a look at their weekly haul. With anticipation building, they gathered around as Rick began to weigh the gold. The tension mounted as the scale ticked higher and higher, surpassing even Rick's expectations. It became clear that they had struck it big. A whopping 580 ounces of gold, worth an impressive $325,000. Amidst the celebration, Rick expressed his gratitude to the team for their hard work and dedication. He marveled at the magnitude of their achievement, noting that it was one of the biggest gold hauls they had ever seen. With their total now exceeding 1,000 ounces for the season, Rick was filled with renewed optimism for the future. Big Red a week ago, but they made a mistake that cost Parker a lot of money. Now, Aaron had to make sure that Slucifer didn't die the same way, which would have cost Parker more money. The team had recently seen a lot of rain, which was very scary because getting paid while wet wasn't fun at all. It always made things worse. In the beginning, Aaron worked for Parker as a truck driver. Since then, he has shown that he is good at driving a loader and is now in charge of Parker's most productive wash plant. He was by himself with the wash plant that day and did something very stupid. He made a big mistake because he had already done that stupid thing. He was thinking about how lucky he was to have the job when he dropped some wet pay on the conveyor belt, which was a big problem. It had already been a month late for Parker on the Indian River, and now the wash plant was full. Aaron ran back as fast as he could to turn it off, but he wasn't quick enough. He put wet pay into the hopper, which then slid down the smooth running belt, clogged the roller, and stopped the conveyor. He needs to finish letting go of it soon so that the plant can be moved. The shutdown took time, and each hour cost more than $5,000. Aaron and JM finally got rid of all the wet pay on the rollers. Now the plant should fire up and start working again. The truth, though, is much worse. The plant wouldn't come to life. They heard a strange beeping sound instead, which they didn't understand. Aaron knew, though, that the plant would be down for longer than they thought. That meant more money was lost. He chose to talk to his boss about it and see what he could do. Porter, on the other hand, was very busy and needed more time. Instead, he told him to go find Shane. Aaron hoped that Shane could fix the plant with one magic touch, but when Aaron got there, Shane found something that Aaron didn't expect. The belt was not attached to the motor, so it was broken. What a problem that was. It was impossible to turn the belt because the heavy wet pay had broken it. Aaron couldn't stop letting his stupid mistake bother him. They worked on the plant for 2 hours, and Shane fixed the broken belt during that time. Even though the plant finally got back up and running, the damage was already done. It was already late, and Aaron's stupid mistake cost Parker important time. Say what you think about these shocking mistakes these skilled workers made. Tell us in the group. He was told by his boss to get back in a truck. He gave the new driver another chance, but this time in a truck that was in good shape and had been signed out. The newbies were full again. More trucks were better. We saw Tony having trouble with water and his dredge, but he wasn't the only one who had trouble with water because of a mistake. Parker has his fair share of water issues. In his case, he almost lost all of his wolf cut pay, a mining site that is now underwater. Parker was looking for a pay streak in the 4-acre wolf cut on the far side of his Alaskan claim. He hoped that it would bring him at least 1,000 ounces this season. The group was trying to get to pay dirt 30 feet below, but they had to dig out 1,000 yards of extra material. 4 more feet would bring them to the water, and then it would be 30 feet to the rocks. But it looked like it was cooler than it really was. It would be very hard for them because they were working next to a pond. Frozen mud was the best option because it kept the water out. Recruit John Baudry was told to deal with the mud, and keep the water out. But it looked like the cut was pretty wet. They called their boss to stop things before they got worse. It turned out that the mud got worse as they opened up more places. They still hadn't cut out even a fifth of the hole. There is an old pond next to the wolf cut. There was only a small berm between them. They dug down and found frozen ice that stopped the water from getting in. Now, it let water from the pond seep through the berm and fill the cut. Soon there will be a lot of water in the area. There was a need for action to save the day. They thought getting a pump would be the best thing for them to do. Parker's plan to stop the water was to dig a pond into the ground at the cut's deepest point and put in an 8-inch pump to clear it. After setting it up, they had to wait until the next day. You might be wondering what went wrong with the plan now. The plan as a whole was good and seemed to work, but how could you choose a pump to drain that much water without first making sure it works and fixing any problems it might have? The next day, everyone on the team went for a hike to check out their nice, dry wolf cut, but they were about to get a big shock. Where did their pump go? It looked like the pump was gone, and instead of a cutting that was completely dry, they found a lake. The pump system had broken down, filling the cut and putting the pump 4 feet below the water level. $500,000 were about to slip through their hands. The pump was so deep that they couldn't even walk up to it. Tyson had to pull a small kayak out with a chain in the excavator to get the pump to dry ground where they could work on it. The question was why they didn't work on it the day before and save time and money. Mark Fors, the foreman, said that the debris was blocking the suction filter at the end of the hose, which caused the water level to rise and cover the whole pump. He had to disassemble and repair the engine and come up with a plan to protect the pump from more flooding. This could have been done the day before, which would have saved them the